Begin Self-Publishing, episode 144, is Ben Anakin.
Interested in self-publishing but don't know where to start? Want to get your book onto Amazon? Want to hold your paperback book in your hands? Learn how on the Begin Self-Publishing podcast with your host, Tim Lewis.
In this show, we catch up with Ben Roberts and discover how he's been doing with his book writing journey, and whether he's going to be the chosen one and actually hit the deadline date, unlike some of the other people who may not even complete the process, the way things are going. So now over to the interview. Hi Ben, welcome to the show again.
Hi Tim, thanks so much for having me back.
I know that you have made quite considerable progress on your book, so can you bring everybody up to date with where you are and what you're looking to do next on your book?
Yes, so I'm in the difficult stage now, the stage that I hate most. So the book is all drafted. It's gone through a round of copy editing. I've collated all the case studies. I basically sent out a few copies of the initial draft out to a few people that I like, know, and respect. So hopefully get some feedback through from them about sort of anything missing in the content, anything that sort of stands out, if there's any threads or strands that they think actually I should delve a bit deeper on. Because basically when I came back from the copy editor, I rewrote a chapter and a half because of just the feedback that was there, and that's worked out amazingly well. So now I'm at the stage where once I get this feedback back, I'm then going to start designing it all and actually putting it into a tool that's going to help me design it and then publish after that.
Okay, so you're waiting for feedback and you've got case studies and things to come back as well.
The case studies are all back now and I've written them up. I just need to basically I need to finish up. I think I've got 2 left to write up, but they're all pretty much back in now. I need to just then insert them into that draft.
So how long do you reckon before you get to the point where you've got all the feedback you think you're going to, you've incorporated that feedback in, you've put the case studies in, and you have got a document for formatting? What sort of time frame are you looking for that?
Well, I think we are going to slightly overshoot the ebook date that we initially set, but I'm not going to be far off it at all. I think it may overshoot by a week or so. My own fault, because I got so many other things happening, and I was like, I lost track of the book for a week, and it puts you back almost a week and a half. So I reckon once I get everything back, I'll be looking at 2.5, 3 weeks. If everyone can come back with some ideas by the end of this month, I've then got a round of proofreading. I'll be able to start putting it into doing all the design work while that's going on, because the proofreading is just sort of little touch-ups here and there. So yeah, I'll be looking at, I reckon by the end of February it should all be good to go. So I reckon we are going to be delayed probably by a week or so, which is annoying, but I think it's like a project, and I don't know a project that's ever run on time, so I'm not overly worried.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did loads of stuff with running projects when I was in the old corporate world in IT. And the only projects that run to time are ones where people have done the same thing, more or less completely the same thing before a couple of times. So it's like if you're a company that builds bridges and you build the same bridge on every river that you do, then by the time you get to building the 50th bridge, you can probably say within a day or two when you're going to get it done. But given that this is your first book, and your first book project, I think a week or two's delay is not the end of the world. So, you were the best hope for one of these people actually getting the project done on time, though.
Oh God, I can't believe you shouldn't have ever pinned that on me, Tim. But
you were the last hope. You were the Anakin Skywalker who's going to restore balance to the podcast.
you know how well the story of Anakin Skywalker ended up. So
yeah.
But it's not inconceivable that it could be done, but I'm not pinning all my hopes on being able to.
Well, you shouldn't. Until you set up all your marketing and everything like that for a particular period of time, which I always forget to do because I'm always too worried about the deadline. The deadline doesn't matter. The deadline is something to aim for.
Yeah.
The important thing is to get the project done, and you probably do need a deadline, even if you miss it, because if you said, well, I'll get it finished some point, it could be like mid-March, something comes up, you don't do it, and then it's like April, and then you kind of like, the longer you leave things, the harder it's come back to them. Because you forget how to do things a lot of the time as well. So, yeah, I think it's not the end of the world that you're going to miss the deadline, potentially, but it was good to have it. Because the deadline was my birthday, so now it's
yes,
not.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's still my birthday, so it's like, it's not changed.
We'll call it like a birthday. I'll give you like a birthday month, so that way I don't feel too bad.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about marketing then. I know you've got quite a few. How many case studies have you got in your book, or from various people?
10.
Okay.
Maybe I think it was 10.
So when you get nearer to the time when you have a solid idea, right, a really solid idea of when your book will be finished.
Yeah.
You probably want to be looking to, sometime beforehand, get in touch with all of those people and say, I want you to be helping me promote the book on these days on the Amazon store. Or even better, if you can get some sort of email list or some sort of notification, even like a messenger bot or something, like a Facebook page with a messenger bot on it, and get those people to get their followers or people who are interested in reading the book to sign up to that email or messenger bot or whatever, so that you've got some way of ensuring you're going to get a whole load of purchases for your book on Amazon around that time, ideally in the US or the UK. I mean, US or UK can work for. That's the best way. I had most success with my first ever book because I got people bought it because they knew me and it was my first book. And it was easier to use Facebook advertising and things in those days to push into charts.
Yeah.
So even though in many ways my first book I wrote, my first time travel book was the worst book I've ever written, by a long way, it still sells, well, it's free now, but it still sells the series because it had chart exposure like years ago. It was like number 10 in the UK Amazon chart for time travel. That is not a whole thing. So I would be looking in your case to get like the people quoted in your book, to try and get them to kind of rustle up a bit of interest. You're going to have to get your own tribe of people interested and then try and focus it within a few days.
Yeah.
And what they say, which sounds true, is you don't want one big spike. What you want is kind of maybe like quarter of the people to buy it on the first day, and then half the people to buy it on the next day, and a quarter on the third day, something like that, so that it doesn't look like you've just got an enormous spike, because Amazon will probably discount that as being like some sort of, you're trying to game it or something, which you are, but it's like, you want it so it looks like it's building up in interest, and then it should get into a chart somewhere like the UK, like the US social media chart or whatever category you're in. And that should drive more sales. So this is kind of the idea from how to try and get your book to have success on Amazon. I mean, you've got the issue that you've got all the crowdfunding people are already going to have a copy of the book because they sponsored it on the crowdfunding side.
Yeah, but I guess also from that, though, I guess the way I looked at it as well is also then have a mass of people who are already able to really help push because they're already invested in the project. So actually, because they feel like actually they can help share the message even further because they've already invested in it. So I guess although the Amazon stuff itself lost out on the initial orders, actually potentially because I've already got those people there, then it actually could make a difference in terms of sharing because I know they're going to get the book straight away. They get the book like on time, so actually they can help generate that extra spike in activity.
Well, one thing that they could help, which is always useful for books, is writing reviews. You can write a review of a book on Amazon if you've spent £50 or $50 within Amazon, even if you haven't purchased the book on Amazon. Which I need to push for people I've given my social media networking book to write Amazon reviews, because it makes so much difference on Amazon. The way that Amazon listings are set up, the number of reviews in the star count makes a big difference. There's also quite a lot of book promotion sites that won't let you use them unless you've got a certain number of reviews. So that is something where your crowdfunding people could potentially, and you could be like tapping them up and saying, please write a review on Amazon, maybe show them a little video or something about how to do it. So that's where they could come in useful for longer term sales.
Yeah, no, I like that idea a lot because obviously, we said reviews actually still make a huge difference in terms of, especially the long term as well. The short term, yes, but over the long term in terms of actually giving that credibility. And obviously, Amazon's well known for actually having quite a good review system that isn't as easy to game as other people's, because obviously you almost have to have the book and stuff. So it's interesting. I think that's definitely a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I think we've had this. Weren't you going to write a book about reviews at one point? Or is that some sort of memory I have?
No, I did. I wrote about 20,000 words for it. I wrote 20,000 words for it, and I not lost interest in it, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted to, and it started becoming burdensome, and I started not enjoying the process of writing it. So although I still love and I hugely value the topic, it wasn't the right, it's a book I want to write, but it wasn't the right time for me then, so. Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember you interviewing me for it. I think that was the reason. And I was saying the point that the bizarre thing about podcasts is I couldn't care less about podcast reviews for the show. I actually got quite a lot to begin with. I've got a relatively high number of, well, at least in the UK from a podcast, but nobody looks at podcast reviews. Honestly, I've never, well, there may be the odd time if I'm searching for a particular subject, but it's so easy to just listen to a show to find out whether you like it for a podcast that reviews don't matter. But for books, possible exception of free books, reviews do matter because people have got to they've got to go on the blurb and the reviews and everything and work out whether they want to buy it. So that's why reviews matter for books.
Definitely. No, I cannot agree more. My little cat's just come to say hello as well. Hopefully you might not be able to hear him purring in the microphone.
No, he's amazingly quiet at the moment. So we did have a baby. I did have a Jen Herman's baby crying years and years ago on the show, which I think I cut out and then put as bonus material, but nobody ever listened to the bonus material. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, so we talked about marketing and we talked about I would say in terms of your release date, it's better to have a firm date that is late than to rush to meet the 18th of February one, which sounds like you've almost said you're not going to do that. You probably also want to have a look at time in your diary and just check that those few days after your book releases that you're not doing anything too spectacularly sort of time consuming. Because you will be sitting there it's understandable, sitting on your Amazon dashboard, clicking refresh all the time to see how many sales you get.
Yeah.
Because that's what people do on their first book release. My one, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. And it's like, I sold 2 copies. Yeah, great. Yeah, so that you can, and if people ask questions on social media about your book, or if something like some scheduled thing that you set up fails to work, then you can fix it. So I would look in your schedule to make sure that you're not on holiday in sort of somewhere with no cell coverage or something the day after you release your book.
Definitely don't plan on doing that.
Yeah. There will be things like, once your book is published, this is something actually I had a whole episode with Holly Chessman when I was talking about, she just had a book done and she wanted to know the end steps. And this is something I forgot about because I forgot about with my book and it got me into so much trouble. Is that, the social media site Goodreads?
Yes.
You could probably, I don't know if you can do it now. You might be able to do it now, but set up an author profile on there and add your book in. Well, you can only add the book in when you've actually created it, but.
Is that a bit like what with Amazon though? Can you just put a draft in, or do you have to put in the actual full completed book? You
have to put in the full completed book. I don't think you can do pre-orders. Okay. Well, it's not, you don't actually buy it on Goodreads. It's a review site. My problem is that they let you, if you review a book on Goodreads and it doesn't exist in the system, they let the customers add it in. And somebody added in my book and assigned it to the wrong Tim Lewis. So this pastor in Oklahoma was down as the author of my book. And it took me so much. And even now I've not got it properly corrected. It says Timothy Michael Lewis, which is my fiction author name, is for my social media networking book. And I tried so hard. So that's something to put down to do after your book is published. It's those kind of admin things. There's also things like you can set up Author Central. I think this is something else I need to do actually. on Amazon, I mean, it's a bit moot when you've only got one book, but you can set up an author page so that somebody clicks on your name, Ben Roberts, under your thing. It will take you to this page with your photo and everything. It will have and you can have a link to your marketing buzzword sites and all the rest of it. So that's something else to consider doing after you get the book done. So there are a lot of kind of things to do afterwards. So
yeah, I've got like so those Goodreads ideas of all that night, because I'm basically making notes as we go through, as I should be, and it's like, so I've got all these different parts of the plan. So I've obviously got podcasts. So although in between work today, I'm being recorded on two of the podcasts this evening as we're recording this. So that's 3 different podcasts going to be on talking about the book. Well, I've got some other conferences that I've been booked in to speak and I'm going to attend. I've got the Thunderclap special offer, press release and distribution networks that I'm a part of, that I know people who are in PR and the industry will be able to help get the word out. I've got a video that I need to create, crowdfunders, so you're leveraging the crowdfunders that have already helped support the book, because obviously they're invested now in the project. Extracting quotes and making sort of shareable stuff. So I guess a bit like what Mark Schaefer did today, where he showed sort of that image from his book, and where you show sort of quotes or something that people can read. So that I guess where you have that bit of snackable content, which comes off the back of this big project, would be nice. And I've then written down sort of crowdfunding case studies, the chatbot, the Goodreads. I've got all stuff. I know that, and getting like a full scheduling plan and post interviews, and sort of maybe try and get back on the people that I've already talked to and do Facebook Lives with them, so I can actually talk through what we discuss in the book and how it's all comes together. So I've got a few ideas, and I guess especially working in marketing as a marketer, I should have those ideas. And I guess I'd be worrying if I didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, it reminds me of, I'm not sure if I said this to somebody else or somebody else said this to me when I was a student years ago and used to do student politics. But it's the same sort of thing with a launch. It's like you do as much as you reasonably can, and then you do a little bit more, and that'll work. I mean, I don't take any notice of that advice myself, but I know it works. It's you do as much as you possibly can to push your book, and then you feel yourself at the edge of exhaustion, and you've done as much as you possibly can, and then you do a little bit more. And if you've done that, then A, you've done as much as you can, and B, you're not going to feel, well, maybe if I've done this or done that. There will be some things that you see just don't work. I mean, make use of things like UTM codes so that you know. And also, this is something else you may not be aware of. Set yourself up as an Amazon US affiliate and a UK affiliate. And then the way that Amazon affiliate, to explain, I'm sure I've said this on the show before, and I'm sure you know how affiliate deals work. Yep. So if I have an affiliate link to Amazon for my book, and it can be your book, or it could be for your book as well. If somebody clicks on that link and then goes onto Amazon and buys your book or my book, I get like 2% of the value of that book paid into my affiliate account.
Okay, yeah.
What people don't appreciate is you can set up these multiple affiliate IDs. So for this show, for example, and I don't think I think I've earned about like $5 ever on this show from the affiliate links. But if I link to books and things, you can actually, in your affiliate account, you can set up different IDs. So I think I've got like BSP1, BSP2, BSP3. So what you could do is when you set up your affiliate account, set up different like affiliate codes for different social media networks or different campaigns. And then if you're using those links in your Twitter posts or on your email or whatever, you can tell where the sales came from. So, I mean, it's not going to be ideal because affiliate links don't always work, but it'll give you some idea if you've got like if you've got a separate affiliate link on Thunderclap to say Facebook and you get no sales from Thunderclap on the affiliate link, you'll know that that's really not been that successful. Because it can be very hard to actually check that whole end-to-end process. But you can set up these different affiliate codes in the Amazon affiliate thing to say to allow you to specify, and those are different affiliate links. So that's something else you might want to look at getting set up. I mean, you can get that set up now if you want to. Start playing around with links to, if you haven't already got, you might already have one set up.
No, I don't know. But on that same vein, is it is it worth, if I set up on Amazon then a pre-order, set it up and put the draft of the book in so I can get the pre-orders going and everything. If I put that date in, is that pre-order campaign date set? So if I go, it then gets released on that date, or can I wait? Actually, so if I say I set it for February the 25th, let's say, and just say it actually rolls over into March, and actually the release date ends. Can I change that release date even though there's been pre-orders, or is it all set in stone?
You have to do it. I mean, that's why I put my book on pre-order, so I had to get it done for that date.
That's my thought, and I'm trying to think of, actually maybe I put it on Amazon as a pre-order, but I set it for a week later than I think it will take me to get done. So that way, there is no excuse. It has to go out on that date, but I have got that breathing room to make sure that I'm actually not rushing the marketing and the quality, and I'm not rushing any of the quality of it. So I'm thinking, actually, because you can only do, is it 30 or 60 days?
90 days. I would suggest you don't do it pre-order.
Why would you say that?
Well, for Apple or something like that, pre-orders count towards sales when the book happens. But for Amazon, those count towards in the pre-sale bit. So books can chart on pre-order. But you're missing out the potential surge of people if they buy it pre-order rather than when it actually when you want them to buy it, which is in the first week or so. So that's why I would say you're not really gaining an awful lot by putting on a pre-order, because you've already got all these crowdfunding people who are not going to buy it on Amazon because they've already got it. You don't want a load of pre-order people buying it as well. So, I mean, it's a bit, I suppose in some ways it's a bit moot, because these are non-fiction books and the charts aren't as important as in fiction books, because unless you get into like business, number 10 on business or something, it's not going to make that much difference. But I'm like, well, what are you going to gain from putting it on pre-order, really, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I suppose that. Yeah, I guess the reason I thought is it actually may count towards that, the overall things. I guess I looked at other people and they do these pre-order campaigns through Amazon, and it was trying to go, actually, is that a good thing to do? Because it would count towards actually the orders. So it means instead of having, so you knew that people were getting your book right away and it would all count towards the order levels. But actually, if it doesn't help you potentially rank at all, now is that a good or a bad thing? But I guess it's nice you can actually do a bit of a soft drip campaign, so you don't have to absolutely slam everyone for that first week. You could build it up over a month and a half, instead of having to go, look, bam, buy my book, bam, buy my book, or whatever marketing message you use. Actually, by having a pre-order campaign, you've actually got a month or up to 90 days to potentially start getting orders in, so you don't have to slam people, if that makes sense. I guess that's the difference.
Yeah, but pre-order, I mean, that drip thing doesn't, well, it can work for books, but you ideally want it so that they're getting drip and moving them slowly along, but the book's actually not available yet. And then, like, your buy my book is to people who have had all the drip for a month, and then they buy the book at the same time, because that'll get you in the chart, where if you're kind of like drip, you get people buying it pre-order, and it's like, it might get to number 100 in the chart, and that's going to give you no value whatsoever. So, as I say, it might be moot, because this is a business book, and like, how many sales do they get? I mean, it surprised me looking at, even in my book, looking at the, like when I've had a few good days, you really shoot up into these charts, because there's a lot of books there's loads of books not selling many copies in the business books charts. So how much value you get from actually being in those charts is like, but it's like, well, why risk it really at the end of the day? Yeah, no,
interesting point. That's definitely one to consider, because I always thought about actually getting it in there, but actually maybe it's something I need to reconsider.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you've asked me this before, is whether you want to go just with Amazon, i.e. so you put in the KDP Select scheme, or whether you want to go wide. This is for ebooks, basically. Do you want to go make it available in other stores like Google Play, Apple, Kobo, etc.?
My initial thought was Amazon, because that's the one I feel I'm most confident on. I think I might change my mind once I see, because Vellum would create it all for across the the design would work right away across the ebook spectrum of platforms. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. It's got a little checkbox, and you say one for Kobo, generic ebook, one for Amazon, blah blah blah, paperback format. So yeah, I think it could be done either way. I hadn't overly considered that, but it's something that is now on my marketing plan list. I think I've sold exactly. No, I think I sold one copy on Google Play of my social media networking book, but the majority's been on Amazon, right, in terms of ebooks.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If it's not much work, then it's fine. But actually, on a way, you almost want to. I might initially just release it on Amazon to try and get that. That's where they direct everyone to. And then over time, when it matters less, then expand it out from there. But I want to actually, I think initially, is focus all the traffic in on that one location so that actually you maximise the potential of there. I mean,
the advantage to going to other stores is that it's very easy to end up thinking that only that Amazon are everything. But Amazon are enormous in the US and the UK and to some extent Germany. But in a lot of the rest of the world, Amazon really aren't that big at all. So, I mean, Amazon is reasonably big in Canada, but I think Kobo are bigger than Amazon in Canada. And companies like Kobo and Apple iBooks are big across places like Africa and a lot of Asia and places like New Zealand. So by having a wider reach of stores, you make the book available more globally than would be the case otherwise. So that's one reason for going wide. But on the other hand, you've then got at least one other interface to be checking for sales all the time. And every time you make a change to your book, you've got to upload it to another site as well as Amazon. I corrected a typo and somebody got divorced in the book and changed their name, so I had to change that. So I had to upload my book to the print to redo the new paperback version, the ebook on Amazon. I had to upload it to Publish Drive. I had to upload it to Kobo because I go direct to Kobo. And I think there was somewhere else as well. I've forgotten. No, that was it. So it's kind of like it takes its toll by having places to go. Yeah, that's something to consider anyway. So I think we're caught up now. So I'm not entirely sure when I'll have you on the show next. I was going to do you after you'd released the book, but it may well be in the pre-release phase, which is probably better, actually, be more interesting. So
yeah. Well, yeah, we'll definitely make a time to make it work. As long as everything's all gone to plan, I think either just before, just after, I think either one can go down quite well.
So I'll talk to you probably in February then.
Yes. No, and thank you for keeping me on track. And again, this is what the point of this is, isn't it? Is actually talking through some of the nuances and some of the details and intricacies of actually self-publishing, which aren't always easy to find answers for. Actually, you don't necessarily know that you need to know the answer, or even that's even a thing until you start having a conversation with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't know whether to look for it or not. I wouldn't have known whether to look for actually like the Goodreads stuff because it just wasn't in my psyche. So it's this sort of stuff that I hope is actually not just helping me, but actually people listening. It's actually that's where the value is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show, Ben.
Hey, the pleasure was all mine as always, Tim.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please stop by iTunes and rate and leave a review. This helps make the show more visible. For free resources, show notes, and other helpful content, join the community at beginselfpublishing.com.